This is James Mathers for the Digital Cinema Society at Cine Gear Expo 2025. I'm here with my friend Michael Bravin. Michael's got such a broad background in production and equipment sales. And tell us a little bit about that. What have you been up to and what are you up to now?
Well, for the last, almost 25 years, I've been involved in cameras and lenses, the transition from film to digital. I worked with Sony. I worked with Arri when the Alexa came out. For the last, up until about a year ago, I was working for the last 7 years with Canon. And I think my biggest passion and the through line with everything that I've done in my career is to help creative people understand technology, to help improve or increase their ability to use the technology for creative purposes. I started out as a broadcast production person and working for NBC Sports when I was in my 20s on football and baseball and college basketball. And that was fun. But what I really enjoyed was the cameras and the lenses and the lighting equipment and the switchers in the truck, and you weren't allowed to touch any of that or be involved with any of that. So I kind of split off into being more involved in the equipment side of it. In the early days when digital post-production equipment started, and I worked for Abacus Video Systems, and then I've worked in for resellers, I've worked in product development, and I've also worked in production. And my most recent avocation is that I work as a business development consultant for several companies inside and outside of the industry. And one of the companies I'm working with in the motion picture industry is GVM LED, which makes LED lighting. Their history is that they were heavily involved in the still photography and wedding photography and content creator market. And most recently at NAB, they came out with a bunch of new products that are designed for higher end markets, for broadcast, E&G, and for cinema. Okay. And I think the thing that's most attractive to me about what's going on now in the LED lighting space, I saw when I started out, there were carbon arc lights, but I saw the development of alternative technologies with fluorescent lighting fixtures, RGB fluorescence, and they were very crude in the early days, and it took many years for them to develop and become sophisticated, have color purity and color saturation and brightness. And I watched in the LED market, I think it's probably been about 15, 20 years since they first came on the market, and they were kind of crude and they were green and blue and they didn't do skin tones well and they had spikes. But over the last probably 8 to 10 years, the technology's really moved up a lot, and the color purity, the brightness, the accurate rendering of skin tones, and even recently matching the color imagery of LED walls and being able to shoot using LED lighting fixtures on volume stages is a huge business now.
So they're also getting a lot more compact. I've noticed there were some lights that are starting to compete with HMIs, but they're huge.
Yeah.
And I noticed GVM had some smaller lights that had great output.
So I think the big development in that, and it's not just a GVM development, it's an industry-wide development of cob lightings. Cob lighting systems, and what cob lighting systems is where the LEDs are actually soldered onto a small board. And the problem initially was that they weren't as efficient as the panel lights, and they also didn't have quite the color accuracy. But that's over the last few years that's changed dramatically, and there are cob LED lights that can be very compact. GVM is showing a series called the Flathead, which is a 200 watt or 400 watt, really thin, powerful light, and it's because it's using that cob lighting with a lens on the front. So you can have very small lights that have lots of power output,
and you can also gang them together and make a huge.
Well, with
really
the Flathead,
powerful.
which is really nice, is you can use a yoke and you can do 4 lights, 6 lights. We showed, I think it was last year at IBC, the whole ceiling of the booth was, I think, 24 of these lights in a softbox. So you have very powerful, very broad lighting that you can mount very high in the ceiling because it doesn't have to hang from a grid. So there's a lot of different uses for it. They're also used for ENG field shooting, and you can put you can put a Fresnel on it. You can put all kinds of light shaping, softbox, all that stuff. But yeah, because of the Cobb technology, you can make the lights much smaller and compact, and also more efficient. And because the color accuracy is there, then those instruments are used for all kinds of motion picture and television lighting.
I'm eager to try them.
Yeah. Well,
Thank you so much,
we'll work
Michael.
that out. Thank you.